Everyone in town heard the gunshot, but no one expected who it was meant for. A gentle woman in a wheelchair and her loyal dog. People froze, windows opened, curiosity rose. But before anyone could run to help, a tall stranger stepped out of a truck, eyes locked, jaw tight, walking straight into danger. Because what the bullies didn't know was that the man they were provoking was a former Navy SEAL whose silence spoke the language of war. And what happened in the next 5 minutes became the story the whole city would never forget. Mara Thompson had lived in Willow Creek for only 6 months, but she had already memorized the cracks in the sidewalks, the uneven slopes, and the places she needed to avoid with her wheelchair. She wasn't born disabled. Life had simply taken a cruel turn when a drunk driver destroyed everything she once took for granted. Still, Mara tried to live gently. Her dog, Rusty, a golden-brown rescue with soft eyes, was her world, her reason to get up, her comfort when her legs failed, and her courage when loneliness tried to swallow her whole. Every morning, they rolled down Maple Street to the park, where she found a small piece of peace in a life that had become painfully quiet. But peace was a luxury in a place where cruelty disguised itself as boredom. 3 local troublemakers, Troy, Ben, and Casey, had decided Mara was perfect entertainment. They started small, blocking her path while laughing, kicking her wheels lightly, mocking her dog. Mara never fought back. She simply waited for them to lose interest. But they didn't. Instead, the more she stayed silent, the bolder they became. One afternoon, as she tried to cross the old wooden bridge near the creek, Troy placed a foot on her footrest, pushing her chair backward. She felt her heart race, her breath stumble, but she refused to cry. Rusty barked and growled, placing himself between her and the boys, but that only made them laugh harder. Things escalated when the school year ended, and the boys had nothing but free time and bad intentions. They stole the cushions from her chair, slashed her wheelchair bag, and once even threw pebbles at Rusty until he yelped. Mara filed complaints, but the police treated everything like harmless teenage mischief. "Kids will be kids," they said, ignoring the tremble in her voice. She learned to swallow her fear and hope the boys would get bored eventually. But they didn't. The real nightmare began on a hot July evening. Mara had just finished her groceries and was rolling home along the empty street. The sunset was a deep orange, burning against the horizon, and Rusty trotted beside her, wagging his tail as if nothing in the world could ever be wrong. She didn't know the boys were waiting for her behind the old abandoned warehouse. They stepped out slowly, like shadows choosing to become human. Troy smirked, flipping a small metal object in his hand. Mara's body stiffened. She had seen that shape before: a pistol. Not a big one, but easily capable of ending a life. Her voice caught in her throat. Rusty growled, stepping forward. "Relax," Troy laughed. "It's just to scare you." But the tremor in his fingers said otherwise. Mara's hands gripped her wheels. "Please let me go home." Ben circled behind her chair. "What's the fun in that?" Rusty barked louder, fur standing on end, teeth bared. The boys jeered, throwing rocks at him until one hit his shoulder. He whimpered but held his ground. Mara's heart cracked. She tried to protect him, reaching out, but she couldn't move fast enough. Then it happened. A loud blast, an echo that tore through the quiet street. A scream, hers. A cry, Rusty's. And then the sound of something falling onto the pavement. Rusty collapsed beside her, his tail still trying to wag, his eyes searching for her face. The world blurred. Mara felt everything inside her break into 1,000 pieces. She didn't know if the boys meant to shoot the dog, or if it was all a sick accident. She only knew the world suddenly became too quiet, too cruel, too cold. The boys froze. Troy whispered, "I didn't, Ben, I swear." But their whispers stopped when headlights washed over them. A large black truck slowed to a halt. The driver stepped out, a tall man with broad shoulders, dark stubble, and eyes that held storms. He didn't shout, he didn't ask questions. He simply looked at Mara, then at the boys, then at the bleeding dog, and something inside him shifted. His name was Logan Hale, and he was a former Navy SEAL. Logan dropped to his knees beside Rusty, his training kicking in instantly. He pressed his hand to the wound, controlled the bleeding, and gently whispered to keep the dog awake. Mara sobbed, shaking uncontrollably. Logan looked up at her, placing a steadying hand on her shoulder. "I'm here," he said softly. "You're safe now, I promise you." Then he stood and turned to the boys. His voice was calm, but the kind of calm that comes before a storm. "What did you do?" The boys tried to run, but Logan didn't need speed, he had precision. He caught Casey first, grabbing him by the collar with the kind of grip that felt unbreakable. The other two froze as Logan stepped forward, towering over them. "You aimed a gun at a disabled woman," he said, his voice low and lethal. "And you shot her service dog." Ben cried. Troy trembled. Casey begged. But Logan didn't yell, he didn't need to. His presence alone made them shrink. He called the police, reported everything, and made sure they stayed there until the sirens arrived. But his anger didn't show as explosions, it showed as a terrifying stillness, the kind soldiers learned after years of seeing the worst in humanity. When the ambulance took Rusty away, Logan followed Mara home, pushing her wheelchair gently as she sobbed endlessly. She kept whispering, "He didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve that." And Logan didn't try to silence her. He understood loss too well. He knew the weight of helplessness, the sting of being unable to protect someone you love. In the days that followed, Logan visited Mara every morning. He cooked for her, cleaned her small apartment, repaired her broken wheelchair bag, and refused to leave her alone. Mara was shy, fragile, unsure if she deserved such kindness, but Logan treated her like someone worth protecting. Slowly she learned to speak again, without fear cracking her voice. And he learned that she wasn't weak, she was surviving a world that had shown her little mercy. Rusty survived after surgery, and when Mara saw him again, her tears turned soft instead of shattered. The boys were charged this time as adults, not kids. The town finally opened its eyes to the cruelty it had ignored. Strangers visited Mara, offering help, support, apologies for not acting sooner. Logan stayed by her side through it all, not out of pity, but because he had found something in her he didn't know he had lost. Purpose. One evening, as the sun dipped low and Rusty rested at her feet, Mara whispered, "Why did you stop? Why did you step in when no one else did?" Logan looked at her, eyes softening. "Because," he said, "I've seen too much pain in this world. I promised myself if I ever had the chance to stop it, even once I would." Mara felt warmth bloom in her chest, something she hadn't felt in years, hope, and in the quiet glow of that evening, with a dog who survived, a woman who rediscovered her strength, and a soldier who relearned his purpose, something beautiful took shape, proof that kindness wasn't weak. It was powerful enough to change the ending of a story that began in darkness, a story the whole town would remember forever.